Shadow Accelgor, gonna burn the final Protect Shield, blocking up this incoming charge move. The opponent fires off the Night Slash. Thankfully, we don't see a boost. Dragon Tail tearing me apart. I'm gonna fire off the Bug Buzz, looking to move Dredagon from the field of play. Down goes the Dragon, back out comes a Lola Mola, looking for that Waterfall farm down. Accelgor says no, reaches the energy wall, rocking them deep into the red. Can Magmortar Karate Chop farm down, and can we emerge victorious? Well, you're gonna have to watch the video to find out. So welcome back to the channel. This weekend, we had a community day where not one, but two Pokemon got access to new legacy charge moves. You might ask yourself, why was YouTube not littered with uploads showcasing these Pokemon? Well, apparently they're both pretty terrible. I've seen one singular showcase of Accelgor in the Love Cup. Shout out Jonkus, who actually had the balls to run it, and he went 0-15. He was actually using the regular variant, which is going to have somewhat more bulk than my Shadow. That also has awful IVs. You're going to see it's like 1473 CP. It was the only one I had, so you know how we do it here. We use what we've got. Jonkus actually made his best attempt to build a semi-meta relevant team and get some wins. He paired his Accelgor with what he said was the best core in the Love Cup, Galarian Slowbro and Licky Far Too Thicky. Of course, that isn't my style. When I showcase newly released Shadow Pokemon, I always feature them in a triple Shadow team. If Jonkus went 0-15, I'm going to ask you all to post down below how many wins you think I was able to obtain. For reference, my starting elo was 25.05. Team building, I'll be honest, my thought process was Shadow Magmortar's got access to Thunderbolt. Accelgor's going to cry if it sees Talonflame. So we've got coverage there, and we're using Electro to hard punish, or in theory hard punish that Kentucky Fried Chicken bird of death. I think there's not really too much more to say. So without any further ado, let's get into the battles. And in game one, the very first battle I played with the team, we are off to a good start. We see a Mud Slapper in the lead, something Accelgor should do decent into. The opponent safe switches into a Lola Mola. We fire off the energy ball. The opponent shows little respect. We send out Electrode. Electrode gonna be able to fully Volt Switch farm down. I cannot quite believe it, but we are 1 for 1s. If anyone said I'm not going to get any victories, you are wrong. However, don't let that deceive you. Things go downhill very quickly. In the next battle, we see Licky Far Too Thicky. We're ABA weak to rock, I'll be honest. This is the second battle I played with the team. I thought, we'll pivot out into Electro and hope we can do something in the back. The opponent safe switched into Scrafty. They're actually on Snarl, of course. I anticipated counter. If I knew they were on Snarl, I would have went for the correct 2 Volt Switches and the charge move. However, the opponent go for a Thunder Punch. Electrode able to withstand the damage and get the Depart and Discharge off. We're actually able to flip switch advantage, although I'm not really sure how much that helps me. Shadow Magmortar is a pure fire type, so of course we are going to be weak to the quick move of Rollout, but in turn we do hit back for super effective with our quick move of Karate Chop. I'm going to shoot at the Body Slam, throw 1 Karate Chop and the Fire Punch. Fire Punch did get buffed this season and Magmortar has a monstrous attack stat. I'm able to force a Protect Shield, then make the pivot, catching the Body Slam onto Accelgor. And if you're wondering how bulky this thing is, Body Slam, a move that's now pretty awful, does over half my health. We're able to fire off the energy ball on the charge attack priority, go for a full undercharge, hoping the opponent's a potato, and they're going to let me Karate Chop farm down. But in fairness, they're probably just going to pivot out. When using this kind of crazy team comp, you've got to try and get any advantage you can. In the back's Galarian Slowbro. The core Jonkus said was the best for the Love Cup. We fire off the Fire Punch. Fire Punch forces the Protect Shield. We're unable to reach another charge move. We get farmed down and we take a loss. Heading into the next battle, we see Metachan in the lead. This should be decent, or at least you'd think. Not that I've played any Love Cup whatsoever, despite it being out over a week. I believe the recommended moveset on Psycho Cut is Ice Punch and Dynamic Punch. We can tank a non-stab Ice Punch, fire off the Bug Buzz. Bug Buzz does massive damage, and I'm just going to sack Accelgor. That looks like a very nice running start for Magmortar. I should be able to resist the Karate Chop farm down before they reach a charge move. We do exactly that, and Magmortar now has a very nice energy lead. Out comes Galarian Slowbro. Magmortar, much like his pre-evolution, Magmar has access to Scorching Sands. Not that I'm running it, but the opponent doesn't know that. We look to fake it till we make it, forcing a Protect Shield, and we make the pivot into Electrode. All 3 members of today's team are very glassy, so I'm going to invest 1 Protect Shield here. The opponent continued to stay in, enabling me to reach the Foul Play. Foul Play hits for super effective, rocks G-Bro deep into the red, and the opponent makes the pivot into Licky Far Too Thicky. I'm going to fire off the Discharge. Discharge is the correct move to throw in neutral situations. It does get same type attack bonus. I've already decided my final shield will be saved for Magmortar. The opponent goes to the body slam bait, switch time is up, and we make the aggressive pivot back into Magmortar. Magmortar gonna shield up the body slam, go for the correct one karate chop and the fire punch. Fire punch will be forcing the opponent's final protect shield, and it's gonna be a race. The opponent 2 rollouts off the next body slam. Magmortar wins the race. Fire punch removes this annoying pest from the field of play. Back out comes G-Bro. They've got a charge move banked. Brutal swing will be securing the knockout. Can we survive 2 poison jabs to get the Volt Switch farm down? Thankfully we can, and we take another dub. Let's go! Oh boy, in the next battle we see the Kentucky Fried Chicken, Bird of Death. So if you are crazy enough to run this team, you should of course throw the 1 Water Shriek in and then defer the Incinerate onto Magmortar as I did there. Our Magmortar save switch is answered by Licky, far too thicky. The opponent shields the first fire punch. We're able to reach the next one. It looks like the opponent committing to that full farm down. Unfortunately, we don't get new mechanic, and that is heartbreaking. The opponent does have all the energy in the world, but they're insanely low. As long as I get my quick move through, which I did, I believe that Water Shrieking should be knocking them out. They fire off the Shadow Ball. We withstand the damage. I spam the switch into Electro. Back out comes Talonflame. The opponent looks to stay and fire off a charge move, enabling me to get off 2 Volt Switches, which is going to do some nice damage. However, what's in the back is something we don't particularly want to see. Metachan, of course, if you played the game for a long time, you'll know was one of the bulkiest and annoying mon in the format. Of course, I'm forced to burn the final Protect Shield here, and I'm thinking, can I win this game? Switch Timer will be popping up, enabling me to make a catch. However, I don't know if a catch is even going to save me. We fire off the next discharge. Switch Timer is up. We make the pivot into Accelgor. The opponent opts to throw energy. Can we Volt Switch farm them down now, leaving with the charge move? Back out comes Electrode. The opponent makes the pivot into Talonflame. Talonflame will be getting removed from the field of play. Can we survive the counters to get a simultaneous KO? Unfortunately, we cannot, and we take a heartbreaking loss. In the next battle, it's time to run it back. Again, we're going to throw the 1 Water Shriek and make the pivot into Magmortar. As we're a mono fire type, we should be resisting these Incinerates, but it certainly does not look like it. The opponent YOLO is a Brave Bird. Holy moly, that was massive overkill. Out comes Metachan. We're going to fire off the Fire Punch. Fire Punch looks like it does around 45%, so this next one that I do throw on the CMP type will come very close to knocking out. The opponent puts up that Protect Shield, and we're just going to let Magmortar go down, hoping Electro can sweep the back line. Dynamic Punch, of course, easily removes me from the field of play. We're going to send out Accelgor. Of course, we can tank any one move, even if they've got Psychic. Psychic, not the best charge move. I actually don't opt to overfarm too much. Instead, throw the Energy Ball on the CMP tie, keeping Accelgor healthy. We get off 1 further Water Shriek and make the pivot into Electrode, and out comes Scrafty. The opponent's really annoying me on Power Up Punch. I think I should probably shield this move. I need to get off 2 discharges. I was thinking, surely we can still survive the boosted counters and do that anyway. If we can get off 2 discharges, 1 will force the shield, 1 will land, and then we should be able to Water Shriek and farm down afterwards. Unfortunately, we're unable to survive the boosted counters, and we are now in a dire position. Again, we're not going to shield at the Power Up Punch, because it feels bad, man. I'm then going to throw the Bug Buzz on the CMP tie. I need to be 1 Water Shriek and off the charge move. However, you're going to see, I'm 2 away, we're unable to survive the Incinerate, and we are going to take a heartbreaking loss. Bug Buzz does around 46-47% according to PV Pokes. I think it would have been quite close to knocking out, but it wasn't meant to be. In the next battle, we see Clefable in the lead. The opponent save switch into Licky, far too thicky. We're able to land the Bug Buzz, and I'm just going to sack my little bug here, saying thank you very much for doing something in this battle, and then send out Electrode. If they farm to the Earthquake, which they do, we're going to go for the 1 shield and full Volt Switch farm down. I am going to leave down a Protect Shield, but Electro does in return leave with a charge move good to go. The opponent thinking about what to send out, send Clefable back into the field of play. Discharge, a pretty mid move to be honest, but from Shadow Electro does reasonable damage as Shadow Pokemon do get a 20% buff on their attack. I attempt to catch a charge move onto Magmortar and out comes Miltank. Honestly, not what I wanted to see in the back. I'm going to burn the final Protect Shield, blocking up the Body Slam. I'm then going to go for the correct 1 Karate Chop and the Fire Punch. I'm then going to throw 3 Karate Chops, throw the next Fire Punch on the CMP tie. I was really hoping to reach the Thunderbolt, but I'm 1 short, so I have to settle for a Fire Punch. A Fire Punch doesn't do enough damage to knock out, and it's all down to Electrode to clean up. Its bulk is certainly going to be put to the test. It's going to be tasked with tanking a Moonblast. Moment of truth, can we survive a Moonblast? Shadow Electrode, not the bulkiest. The answer to that question is certainly we cannot, and we take yet another loss in the next battle. We see Broxish in the lead. I could throw this Energy Ball instantly, winning CMP, and I think that's certainly a play I should do. However, I was scared the opponent would fully farm me down, so I opted just to sack it. sending that Electrode in return. I'm going to go for the 1 shield, full farm down, leaving with all the energy in the world. Sorry, Accelgor. I was thinking that Electrode's energy is going to be far more useful than yours. I think here I should be instantly pivoting out into Magmortar, but I was actually waiting to see what come out. Out comes Wigglytuff, we bank 2 charge moves, make the pivot into Magmortar, and out comes the Shadow variant of Slowbro. Wink on, landing this nuke with full sending. Does the opponent respect the damage? They do not get that Slowbro. Off my screen, back out comes Wigglytuff. Magmortar reaches the Fire Punch, which should force the opponent's first Protect Shield, and it does. Despite Charm being resisted, we just miss out on the next Fire Punch. The opponent froze instantly. Okay, we've got a chance here. Good fast move timing would be 2 quick moves and the charge move. However, I doubt I survive 3 charms, so I opt for 1 and I'm now doubled up. The first discharge forces the opponent's final Protect Shield. Is a Shadow discharge enough to knock out? Oh man, no it isn't. And you can tell because I died from that charm, I couldn't have went for the correct 2 Volt switches as 3 charms did indeed knock me out. In the next battle, we see Dredagon in the lead. I say switch into Electrode, not that Electrode's particularly good into Dragons, as of course Dragon does resist Electric. Out comes this very annoying Snail. We're able to land the Discharge. Discharge does some reasonable damage, and the opponent does opt to throw instantly. This Snail's pacing isn't the best. It's going to take him a further 3 Incinerates to reach the next Rock Tomb. I'm thinking, can I fully Karate Chop farming down before they get there? We get the perfect farm down and leave with a lot of energy. Out comes Alola Mola once again. We full send the nuke. Thunderbolt! Go shielded. We then make the pivot into Accelgor. The opponent then makes the pivot back into Dredagon. I'm thinking, how do I win this game? I'm going to burn the final Protect Shield here, blocking up the Night Slash. Thankfully, they don't boost, and I'm going to fire off the Bug Buzz. Bug Buzz will either force the final Protect Shield or cleanly knock them out. The opponent saving that final Protect Shield for the fish. They've already seen the Thunderbolt. We've got Energy Ball as well. Does the opponent respect the damage? Energy Ball lands massive damage. Can Magmortar Karate Chop farm down? And can we emerge victorious? Magmortar going to burn the final section, blocking up the Psychic. Magmortar looking for that Karate Chop farm down. The fish far too thick. And we take back-to-back very narrow losses. It is heartbreaking, honestly. In the next battle, it's time to run it back. We see another Dredagon in the lead. Should this thing even be allowed in the Love Cup? Yes, it's got a red face, but clearly this thing's a Digimon and not a Pokemon. We say switch into Electrode. And again, you're going to see I throw at suboptimal timing, because I don't believe I survived 3 Dragon Tails. You can see that was the correct decision. And you can already see why other content creators pad out the Glass Cannon showcase with bulky meta threats. If you're going to run a triple Glass Cannon team, it's near impossible. But despite that, we're going to do the best we can, which is send out Magmortar, throw this Fire Punch on the CMP time, maximising my farm, but you can see I'm already deep in the red. Out comes Camerupt, my, something we did not want to see again. We're going to look to fake the Scorching Sands, throw the Fire Punch. They're double weak to water, we make the pivot into Accelgor. You can see Water Shrieking's doing crazy damage, but we get knocked out from 2 Incinerates and we don't even see the 3rd. Oh boy, this is some showcase. In the next battle, we see Scrafty in the lead. They're running counter as well. I've seen a few actually run Snarl. But this should be a good matchup for us. We're going to fire off the Bug Buzz, near one-shots. Of course, I could look to catch this charge move. But again, I don't want to switch lock my 2 good Pokemon. Instead, we're just going to soft lose the 0 shield, send out Magmortar for a running start, and give me the option to pivot out, depending what they send out. Out comes Licky, far too thicky. We're going to fire off the Fire Punch, a force to Protect Shield. This opponent actually opts to throw 2 rollouts, which is alignment. So we get the 3 Karate Chop. They're now 1 off the next Body Slam. So I'm going to throw 1 Karate Chop, make the catch, and sneak a Volt Switch. So far, things are looking alright. Licky, far too thicky, continues to stay, and I'm going to take the initiative, fire off the Discharge, and look to remove them from the field of play. Down goes Licky, far too thicky, and out comes G-Bro. Electrode's able to reach the Foul Play. Foul Play hits for super effective and should be forcing the final Protect Shield. Can we get off enough Volt Switch damage to put them into Thunderbolt range? The opponent's now doubled up on charge moves. Is Thunderbolt enough to pick up the knockout? Who was worried? I'll be honest, I was very worried, but we take that game. In the next battle, we see Shadow Camerupt once again in the lead position. We're able to get off 1 Water Shriek, which has quite a lot of damage. The opponent banks some energy and then send out Licky, far too thicky. The first time we throw at good timing, and the second time we're just going to spam the charge move as soon as we get it, wanting to get off any damage we physically can. The next Discharge does do some very decent damage, and again the opponent opts to instant throw. You can tell my elo's falling all over the place, but despite that, and people not particularly throwing at great timing, this team is still so incredibly difficult to get to work. I send back at Accelgor. Looks like the opponent's committing to the Shadow Ball. We're able to win CMP. We spam the pivot into Magmortar. And out comes G-Bro. You can see the poison jabs just tearing me apart. I really don't think there's any win con. We're going to try and make it happen. We shield up the brutal swing. We're going to return fire with a fire punch. Fire punch will be forcing the opponent's final protect shield. We've seen that Thunderbolt does a lot. Is this Thunderbolt range? No, it isn't. The opponent able to fully farm me down. We send back out Accelgor. I am going to shield this move up. Why? I'm not entirely sure. I was hoping the opponent let me farm down, leaving with a charge move, but they're clearly never going to do that. Switch timers up. They go for the wham, bam, combo play. BM me with an earth power, and we take yet another heartbreaking loss. GG's that opponent. In the next battle, we see Licky far too thicky. If the opponent farm up to the Shadow Ball, which this opponent does, it takes them 5 rollouts. We are going to win a CMP to the Bug Buzz, and Bug Buzz does a lot of damage. At this point, we're just going to sack Accelgor. The opponent falls into the Shadow Ball, which means they're energy dry. So we should be able to karate chop, farm down in 4, leaving with energy good to go, and we do exactly that. Out comes the Kentucky Fried Chicken, Bird of Death. We're going to have the correct 7 karate chops and the Thunderbolt. Does the opponent respect the damage? Boo, they do respect the damage. We go for the catch and sneak of what should be a fly, but of course the opponent's going to flame charge a fire type, because who wouldn't, honestly. Oh. We're going to fire off the foul play. Foul play forces the opponent's final protection, then make the pivot into Scrafty. If I would have just shielded that charge move, I'd have a good chance of victory. But of course, when you're running these glass cannons, you've got to be very wary of where you use your shield. And I don't want to shield up a fly. We land the Thunderbolt. Thunderbolt simply doesn't do enough. I am going to shield this move up, but it's a power-up punch. We're not going to be able to karate chop farm down. Instead, we get counter farm down, and the loss streak continues. In the next battle, we see Miltank in the lead. Just like the Lickitung lead, we're just going to stay in and look to fire off a Bug Buzz. The opponent goes straight for a Body Slam. Body Slam has been nerfed, but when Accelgor is tanking the damage, you'd think it's one of the best moves in the game. We go straight for the Bug Buzz. Bug Buzz, to my surprise, forces the protection and make the pivot into Electrode. We're going to save Accelgor as a sacrificial swap. Sorry, Accelgor, I think the best thing you can be used for is a third shield. The cow opts to stay in, which is super annoying as it's going to be death by Body Slam. We shield up the Body Slam. The opponent then makes the pivot into Clefable. I farm up to the double discharge, and I am going to throw him instantly. The first one, forced the protect shield. We're going to fire off the next one, and this should do a decent amount of chip damage. Here, I could pause a turn and look to make the catch. You can see I try and make the catch, but of course I am stuck in the animation. The opponent fire off the Meteor Mash. So if they're going to Meteor Mash me, I'm imagining it's Meteor Mash and Moonblast. With that in mind, I'm going to send out Magmortar. When they receive the energy for the Meteor Mash, I'm going to try and make the catch. The opponent banks the Moonblast and pivot back out into Miltank. Magmortar now tasked with doing the heavy lifting. We're going to shoot up the Body Slam and then going to throw only 3 karate chops. I don't want to take that next rollout as I want to keep myself healthy. We're close to 100 energy, so if Clefable does return, which it does, we're going to straight knock him out with the Fire Punch. The question is, can we nuke whatever's in the back? Out comes Skeledirge. If we was running Scorching Sands, this would be a victory. Unfortunately, we've opted for Thunderbolt. Thunderbolt has got quite a lot of boom potential, but Skeledirge isn't something weak to electric. Unfortunately, Thunderbolt doesn't do enough. The opponent BM disarming voice me, and again we take yet another loss. Oh boy, honestly, this is one of the hardest teams I've ever tried to run. In the next battle, we see Scrafty in the lead. Probably the best lead we could ask for, or at least something we can kind of have play into. The opponent fire off the Thunder Punch. I'm going to pause, ensuring this Bug Buzz lands on its intended target. Bug Buzz will come quite close to knocking out. The opponent obliges, putting up a protection or make the pivot into Electrode. This is by no means a good matchup. These counters are doing far too much damage. The opponent farmed to a foul play, which I will respect. We correctly shield up the foul play. I'm then going to farm up to the double discharge. This is discharge range, and it enables me to have a charge move ready to go for whatever comes out. Discharge removes Scrafty from the field of play. Out comes G-Bro, and again, this is where you're going to see just our lack of bolt. We're going to fire off the foul play. Foul play goes unshielded. I don't want to make the catch there because I've got a plan in mind. We go for the show and go, make the catch onto a Accelgor, giving ourselves a fighting chance. Show me an Ariados in the back. I played 25 battles, and spoiler alert, I didn't see one singular Ariados, which I think is kind of absurd, as a lot of people have been posting the content. It's Skeledirge. We look to call the bait, because who doesn't love to bait shadow Pokemon? But that call simply will not save me. We force in the Thunderbolt. The opponent's shield, probably fearful of a Scorching Sands. We're unable to reach the next one. We get Incinerated farm down, and we're going to end with a perfect 0-5. Of course, we could end the video there. But if you didn't know, I've got one of the best PvP discords out there anywhere. Shout out the Shadow Hub. So I posted, if anyone wants to send some Shadow Accelgor battles and be featured in today's video, get them sent over. We've had a few people step up to their plates. We've got some bonus battles. First up to the plate is Saint Nick. Let's go, buddy. Let's see what you've got. And we are not off to the best start. Leading Shadow Crawdon into Clefable. We see the safe switch into Accelgor, running acid spray like a mad lad. Out comes Miltank. We're going to full send the Bug Buzz. Bug Buzz. Oof, big damage. Is Nick going to fight for switch advantage? No, he's not. I think we could probably Water Shriek him down in 3. The opponent fire off the Body Slam. We're able to withstand the damage. Crawdon looks for the Snarl Farm down, which we're unable to get, meaning this glassy Pokemon is going to have to tank a Body Slam. Body Slam does massive damage. Crawdon gets that farm down. The opponent, of course, will be sending back out Clefable, and we're going straight for the Scald. Scald from Crawdon going to do crazy damage. It commands a Protect Shield, and we see the pivot into Caesar. The opponent stays in, looking to throw a charge move, but they take quite a lot of Bullet Punch damage. The opponent fire off the Moonblast, good shield. Caesar would of course resist that, but it wouldn't look like it. Out comes the second rollout user. We fire off the Trailblaze. Trailblaze goes unshielded, and the opponent throw an alignment. Nick not willing to shield the Body Slam. Body Slam doesn't do much damage. Nick's then going to farm up. Fire off the Trailblaze once again, looking to vamp up his attack. Trailblaze will be forcing the opponent's final Protect Shield. The opponent is going to go for yet another Body Slam. Nick going to oblige, putting up that final Protect Shield. The opponent then pivots back out into Clefable. Clefable unable to Fairy Wind farm down. Caesar reaches the 2-stage boosted Night Slash. Night Slash removes them from the field of play. We're able to Bullet Punch farm down Licky. Far too thicky, and Nick gets a dub. Beautifully done, buddy. Next up to the plate is Pat. Pat is without a doubt one of the standout guys of my Discord community. If you ever see my videos with very cool graphics, that's usually because Pat's put them together. He did actually put a graphic together for this team as well, but unfortunately, that's far too much editing on my phone to keep switching between my crappy graphics on the left and his good ones. We're just going to roll with what we've got. Pat didn't go with a full Shadow team, but we've already seen from my own battles just how hard it is to win with a triple Shadow team, so we're going to let him off. He's opting for a core of Scrafty and Milotic. Scrafty able to win the zero shield scenario, flipping that god-awful alignment. Back out comes the Snail. We fire off the Thunder Punch. Thunder Punch goes unshielded. Of course, we are going to realign here, sending out Milotic into the Incinerate user. The opponent could go for a Stone Edge, which would do some respectable damage. They actually go for the Overheat, which is resisted. We then see the Simul swap of a Accelgor into Licky, far too thicky. Pat opting for the Hail Mary of Focus Blast. We're just going to fire off the Energy Ball. Energy Ball goes unshielded and gets the defense drop. I imagine we're going to put it all on Milotic. Pat, thinking about it, agrees, saving 2 Protect Shields for our Milotic. Milotic looking for the Dragon Tail farm down, which we're unable to get before Licky fires off the Body Slam. Again, we're unable to Dragon Tail farm down. Pat actually not willing to shield up this next Body Slam, and we're very close to getting Incinerated farm down. Can we Dragon Tail farm down before they Incinerate farm down? Oof, very close game with Pat emerging victorious. GG's. In the next battle, Pat leads Accelgor into G-Bro. The opponent safe switches into Licky. Far too thicky. This is just a Body Slam, which we will tank, and I think it's time to YOLO the blast. Please land. Please land. Please. We are full sending. Does the opponent respect the damage? Oh, what an anticlimax. Accelgor gets denied of his big boom, which is heartbreaking. Pat waits out his timer here, and I'm not entirely sure if I agree with that play. The switch locked, so I would have sent in Scrafty, looking to counter farm all the way down. As we waited out our clock, the opponent could pivot out if they want and save this Lickitung for later. The opponent does exactly that, send back out G-Bro, but Scrafty, with all the energy in the world, gonna fire off the foul play. Foul play sneaks through the protection, wait the pivot into Milotic, looking to use it as the damage sponge. Milotic's actually got a really good stat product in the Great League. It's good in a lot of theme cups, and I think Love Cup certainly a meta it can perform, and you can see that non-stab Brutal Swing did absolutely nothing. Milotic commits to the farm down. Out comes Scrafty. We fire off the Surf. Surf has been reworked, it now does more damage for more energy, and rocks Scrafty below half health. Where does Pat burn the final protection? It looks like he's putting all his hopes and dreams on Scrafty. Our Scrafty's healthier than the opponent's. The opponent gets off as much counter damage as they physically can. Back out comes Licky, far too thicky. Can the opponent roll out farm us down? Scrafty fires off the Thunder Punch. The opponent looks for that rollout farm down. Scrafty on hardly any HP, able to withstand the rollouts, reach the Thunder Punch, and we take that game. Closing out today's video, we've got some battles from Big Pokey. Big Pokey is going to be running Magmar instead of Magmortar, if you look on the graphic to the left. Big Pokey actually sent me these before I even ran my own team. I actually took inspiration from him in battle number 1. We see Magmar into Soul Rock. We're going to shield up the rock side. We're going for a cheeky bait. Is the opponent willing to risk getting one shot by the Scorching Sands? The opponent craps their pants, putting up that Protect Shield. We're now able to outpace to the Scorching Sands. Scorching Sands sneaks through the Protect Shield. Get that Soul Rock off my screen. Out comes Licky, far too thicky, looking for the rollout farm down. Magmar, still not done, reaches the Fire Punch, and Magmar has put in so much work. This loaded Lickitung is quite scary though, of course. A lot do carry Earthquake. We throw one Volt Switch, make the pivot into Accelgor. Big Pokey actually willing to shield this move up. The opponent fire off the Shadow Ball. We've got the Bug Buzz banked. The opponent continuing to roll out away. Bug Buzz forces the opponent's final Protect Shield, and they opt to throw. We've now got Electrode in the zero shield scenario, looking to clean up. The opponent pivot out into the Electrode mirror. Well, we're Shadow and they're Hisuian, so it's not quite the mirror. We fire off the Foul Play. Foul Play does half the health, meaning the next one will knock out. Unless they've got Energy Ball, we should survive any one move. The opponent fire off the Wild Charge. We withstand the damage. Big Pokey able to reach the next Foul Play. Foul Play will remove them from the field of play. Can we Volt Switch farm down Licky before they reach a charge move? Yes, we can. And Big Pokey picks up the dub. GG's. Heading into the next battle, we see Metachan in the lead. They're running counter, which is probably worse in some ways and better in others. They apply a lot more fast move pressure, but pace a lot slower to charge moves. We fire off the Scorching Sands on the CMP tie to a pop. The pop isn't threatening, but the counters after are going to start tearing through our team. We tank the power-up punch, make the pivot into Accelgor. Bug does resist fighting, although you wouldn't know it. Accelgor is so glassy, it doesn't really resist anything. The opponent fire off yet another power-up punch. We now find ourselves below half health, and out comes the Kentucky Fried Chicken Bird of Death. Bug Buzz does some decent damage. The Water Shriek can get some below half health. Big Pokey gonna wait out his clock, and I imagine we send out Electrode, go for the one shield and full Volt Switch farm down. Bug Buzz was able to get the defense drop, although I'm not entirely sure that helps us. It just means we get less farm. We do Volt Switch farm down, but I guess in turn we don't take too much Incinerate damage. We only had to tank one. The opponent sends out Lickitung, not even Licky, the OG. We fire off the Foul Play, force the protection, we see the pivot back into Magmar. The opponent pivots back out into Metachan. Metachan going to be greeted with the Fire Punch. Fire Punch goes unshielded. Can we reach a charge move against Lickitung? Definitely not. One lick takes us out, and it's all down to Electrode to clean up. We find ourselves in the 1-to-1 shield. Big Pokey going to shield up the Body Slam. I think Power Whip's actually more energy efficient nowadays, as Body Slam is a pretty garbage move. 35 energy for 50 damage. It used to be 60. It has got a huge nerf. Big Pokey going to fire off the Foul Play. Foul Play forced the opponent's final Protect Shield. I think we had to commit to the beam here, as I already know that this thing is far too thick for a Foul Play to knock out. The opponent unfortunately going to be able to lick farm us down. They actually opt to throw a charge move, but regardless, this one will end in a heartbreaking defeat. GG's to that opponent. Heading into the next battle, we see the same lead once again with Metachan, again on counter. Big Pokey playing exactly the same as he did last time. Fire off the Scorching Sands, which does do more than a Fire Punch, but is slightly less energy efficient, but does have a chance of the debuff. Big Pokey with some RNG luck, able to get that debuff. The opponent again, fire off the Power-Up Punch. Big Pokey going to stay in, look to fire off the Fire Punch on the CMP tie, and make the opponent make the first shielding decision of the game. Fire Punch forces that Protect Shield. The opponent's boosted, and it looks like they're looking to force alignment. This should set up a nice scenario where Accelgor can come in and get a very nice Water Shriek and farm down. Accelgor comes in, looks for the Water Shriek and farm down, which we're unable to get before the opponent reaches the departing Power-Up Punch. Big Pokey look to keep Accelgor healthy. The opponent send out the Snail. This Bug Buzz won't do much, but all chip damage is welcome. The opponent's shield probably fearful of a Focus Blast, and we send out Blaziken. The opponent stay in, bank a charge move, send out Wigglytuff. Wigglytuff going to be greeted with the Brave Bird to the face. Going to be, hi Wigglytuff, bye Wigglytuff. Get that Marshmallow off my screen. We counter farm down the Snail and take that game. Fun fact, Shadow Blaziken is one of the very few Pokemon allowed in the Love Cup that's got an even higher attack stat than Shadow Accelgor. It's got a whopping 146. In the next battle, we see the Kentucky Fried Chicken Bird of Death. Unfortunately, we don't have access to Thunderbolt, so the opponent's got nothing to fear, although clearly the opponent doesn't know the moveset. They shield up the Fire Punch. The opponent continues to farm up, allowing us to reach another Fire Punch. The opponent 2-shield their lead. I'm not sure on that play whatsoever. We see the instant no-shield from Big Pokey. Big Pokey going to be very happy with his 2-to-no-shield advantage. We send out Electrode. Electrode going to be putting up the first Protect Shield, shielding up the Flame Charge. Unfortunately, we're going to be unable to Volt Switch farm down before the opponent reach a boosted fly. Big Pokey going to burn the final Protect Shield. Out comes Wigglytuff. Oh boy. We've got the Hyper Beam locked and loaded. Hyper Beam does it one shot. not quite. We sniped with a water shrieking. What is that third? Out comes G-Bro. Oh boy, we're going to see back-to-back booms. This bug buzz only hits for neutral, but neutral simply is going to be enough. Get that slow bro off my screen. We water shriek and farm down Talonflame and take an incredible dub. What a game. In the next battle, we see another snail in the lead. Thankfully, they're on Incinerate. If they're on Rock Throw, we'd be in trouble. Big Pokey going to fire off the correct 7 Karate Chops and the Scorching Sands. It's just a Fire Punch trainer, I promise. The opponent invested Protect Shield. Big Pokey going to shield up was likely a Rock Tomb. Rock Tomb will be debuffing our attack. However, you can see the Karate Chops have certainly put him in a range where the next one will still knock him out. Big Pokey doesn't throw this next one at the best time, but it goes unshielded, and we still remove them from the field of play. Out comes Miltank. Big Pokey happy to stay in, fire off one further Scorching Sands. Scorching Sands even debuff, force that Protect Shield, then make the pivot into Electrode. Big Pokey was actually able to get the attack drop as well, which is very, very nice, meaning this body slam isn't going to do much. The opponent continuing to stay in, which must mean they're weak to electric. I don't really know why you'd stay in when you're debuffed if not. Big Pokey not messing around, YOLOing yet another Hyper Beam. Does the opponent respect the damage? They do not. Down goes Miltank, and it's actually a slow bro in the back. Unfortunately, we're unable to reach a charge move before the opponent Poison Jab farms us down. Accelgor hits the field of play. We try and make a catch. The catch attempt is unsuccessful, and this now suddenly has got quite dicey. The opponent fire off the Surf, which is more expensive. I think back-to-back Brutal Swings would have been the play. We're able to reach the Bug Buzz, and Bug Buzz is going to be all she wrote. GG's, and thanks for playing. And that is just about going to wrap things up for today's showcase. Huge shout out to Saint Nick, Big Pokey, and Pat for helping put this video together. It's now time for my thoughts on Shadow Accelgor. I think this Pokemon is always destined to fail. It's got a monstrous attack stat, which puts it in the Shadow Glass Cannon category. You need one or two things to perform as a Glass Cannon. You need an oppressive quick move, think of stuff like Shadow Vic and Shadow Gramble. Or you need a very spammy, hard-hitting moveset. Stuff like Gallade that's got that 8 pace into Leaf Blade, and stuff like Primate with that 8 turns to the Rage Fist and 10 turns to Close Combat respectively. Unfortunately, Accelgor is nothing more than a meme pick. If you want to use it, trust me, you're going to get absolutely destroyed. To answer my own question of the day, I went 3-22, losing around 300 elo. However, if you're enjoying the content, smash that like button if you're new. Consider subscribing if you like your battles featured on my channel. A link to our battle submission form is down below. And as always, a huge thanks to everyone for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.